Right, hello everyone. Yes, redoing the Ella J. Bailey stream because the audio was so terrible the first time we tried to listen to it. I thought we'd just redo it. Now I've cleaned up the audio slightly. It still isn't perfect, obviously, but it's better than it was. So we'll get to listening to that in a minute. And also, yeah, got some an article to read out after that as well because she testified at Manson's second trial. Yeah, you don't hear so much about his second trial, but that was over Hinman. And yeah, she testified at that one, and there's an article about that. And also, she was one of the first Manson girls. She joined with Susan Atkins. She was Susan Atkins' roommate, and she was at the Mendocino thing. And she left just before the Gary Hinman thing. She refused to go to the Gary Hinman house, and she left then. So yeah, she's an interesting one because yeah, about we talk about how the girls were. Well, he was supposed to have all these people under his control, total control. But yeah, this girl left apparently, just walked out. So yeah. It's interesting. And yeah, if you're watching this on playback, there'll be chapters in the description, so you can just jump to that. I'll just greet everyone. Oh yeah, and it's not uploaded to archive.org yet, so we're going to have to listen to it straight from our computer. But yeah, by the time this is, if you're watching on playback, the link to it on archive.org will be in the description as well. Yeah, so I've cleaned up the audio to this one a bit like I did with the Ruth Ann Morehouse one. And yeah, I've got a little bit about Ella J. Bailey. So I'm just going to repeat the other stream with the audio better, so we'll listen to the whole thing. And that's it, Mendocino. She was one of the Mendocino girls. As I say, you don't hear much about her at all, but yeah, she was there for everything. But she left just before the murders happened, basically. She refused to partake in the murders and then left, and then eventually testified against him at his trial. 26 people here already. So yeah, I will start now. As the audio is over 30 minutes long. Oh no, wrong one, sorry. I want to read this first. Yeah, this is just a little thing about Ella J. Bailey, who she was. She was born on January the 15th, 1947 in Omaha, Nebraska. She became an early member of Charles Manson's family. Not much is known about her early life, but she graduated from high school in Holland, Michigan in 1965. Afterwards, she moved to the Haight-Ashbury district of San Francisco, where she became roommates with Susan Atkins. Through Atkins, Bailey met Charles Manson and other initial followers, including Mary Bruner, Lynette Fromme, and Patricia Krenwinkel, eventually settling at the Spahn Ranch. In 1968, whilst hitching with Patricia Krenwinkel, Bailey was picked up by Dennis Wilson, the drummer of the Beach Boys. This encounter led to Wilson's association with the Manson family, during which he provided financial support and introduced Manson to various contacts in the music industry. Bailey was involved in an incident in Mendocino County, California in June 1968, during which he was arrested on drug charges for allegedly giving LSD to local youths. After the murder of Gary Hinman in July 1969, Bailey decided to leave the Manson family. She felt a sense of responsibility for his death, as she had suggested to Manson that Hinman might have money. Upon learning of Hinman's murder, she fled the ranch with Bill Vance and did not return. Later on, Bailey agreed to testify against Manson and his followers. She passed away from natural causes on September 14th, 2015, in Eustis, Florida, at the age of 68. Yeah. So yes, like I say, it's interesting. This one apparently left, and she was also one of the girls that was meant to be hitchhiking when Dennis Wilson picked them up and all that. So it's just crazy you don't hear more about her. And yeah, you can hear a bit more clearly. So if you look at this, what we're about to listen to on YouTube, the CLO Drive one, it says in the description about how they're apologising to her because they asked her mother to identify who, I think it's the one that turned out to be Marina Haby, the Jane Doe, because they thought it might be Ella Jo because she disappeared. But it wasn't her, obviously. And it says in the description, you hear him apologise for that. It was difficult to make out in the original one. You can hear this a bit better now. Yeah. So we'll get on with playing the audio.
I want to apologize, first of all, because remember I said in the hall there about I talked to your mother? I don't remember your mother about 4 months ago.
Right, you're hearing it now, yeah?
A girl was killed Mulholland Drive. He was a chain doe, unidentified for 5 months or a month and a half. So I went out to the ranch and I talked with Ruby Pearl and with
You're hearing it now, yeah. That's good.
remember the guy's name now. No, it wasn't
about
one.
identifying the Jane Doe now.
Larry Crick? No, somebody else. Anyway, they said the Ella Joe has been missing. We haven't seen her in a long time. Maybe that girl that was in the paper is the same girl. So I contacted the state police back there. I ran back through the family. Anyway, I did a search. It wasn't you. Once I found out about you, because I thought you didn't have a mole on your rear. That was the big thing. That's crazy. Yeah. And he was correct that morning. He was at least living, he was living in the ranch at that time. We just have what? Why is it green? No problem.
That's what I know, that's Chuck Green.
No.
Chuck Green. Who's Chuck Green?
Now, let me ask you this. Did anybody else talk about what happened in human place other than
Everybody talked about it that was on the ranch. But I heard it specifically from all those people because Bill and I were the only ones up when Sadie and Mary came back. Talked to them first, right after they had left him in the shop.
That's what the
Bob and I went on an errand, together, and we talked about it. I remember that really so clear because Bob was really upset, He was
I can hear
really
it quite
quiet
clearly.
about himself, And I talked with Bruce about it because I was pretty, I wouldn't say I was closest to Bruce than anyone, but I wrote to him while I was in Europe. I knew Bruce real well. We talked about it. I wanted to hear from everybody exactly what happened because, I don't feel like I'm responsible, but, I was closer, I knew Gary better than anybody else.
Yes.
As far as the girl, I wanted to know what happened.
Well, now, can you remember that Mr. Caston asked me, we're going to give you a chance on the rest, believe me. Was it the things that you told us that you remember Charlie saying, that you remember Lou saying, that each other saying, that you do remember them saying those things? Fine. That's basically what we want to know, is that those are vivid recollections, or at least recollections. Let me ask you this, just real quick. Is there any specific reason why you left the ranch?
True.
How much longer? 5 minutes.
I was really afraid because obviously we didn't get any, we the family. There was no benefit from Gary's death, That's pretty hard to understand, I was really scared, because there were so many guns around. It wasn't, the scene that had happened for a year, almost a year and a half that I had lived with him, And I'm sure each of us saw the changes coming down. I saw Charlie, hit some of the girls at various times because of some little thing that wouldn't be important to anybody else, that to him was really important, I don't want to be hit, I didn't want to be hit, and I certainly didn't want to be killed. And I had never been sent out to, rip off the car or go get a motor or hot parts or anything like that, And I just didn't want anything more to do with it. Neither Bill, he certainly didn't want to.
Were you afraid to leave?
I was afraid that, that eventually, Charlie would say, okay, you didn't go to the Hinman murder, but it's time that you accomplished what everybody else has done. Bill told me that Charlie had, directly spoken to him and said, other schemes were planned. They tried to, they were going to try and get money from the casino just over the hill from, in Sydney.
Ella Joe Bailey. This is Ella Joe Bailey.
And, there was talk about there were going to be more and more of these things. Some of the girls had gone out at capers.
Was there talk about Charlie
I didn't
Manson?
want to.
Was there talk by Charlie Manson about going up to Terry Melcher's? Are you talking about getting something to Terry Melcher's?
Sure, definitely there was. You know, Terry had said that he was going to come to record music at the land.
Was there any specific talk as to where Terry Melcher lived?
We thought he lived down by Malibu. He said at one time that we were welcome to come down to his place on by the beach, you know, across from the beach, directly across from the beach. He had horses down there.
Was there any talk, Ella, about getting anybody at the place where he formerly lived in Mendocino?
Talk about a house
Yeah, no.
Melcher had by the beach as well. Talk about the other house.
Just one last
So they knew where
question. Do you
Dennis.
think Bill was
No,
afraid of Charlie?
Terry Melcher, sorry.
Afraid of Charlie?
Bill's pretty big, isn't he?
Yeah, he's big.
And your impression would be that physically, unless there was something wrong with the situation, that Bill could handle himself pretty well with Charlie, right?
Yeah, except Bill is slow and Charlie's quick.
Yeah.
Now, Bill, I don't believe Bill's afraid of Charlie physically, but I believe Bill's afraid of Charlie, you know, because of his mind, maybe. I believe, you know, like, Bill and I talked about it a lot. You know,
He was scared of his
with
mind.
Bill. Bill didn't want to have anything to do with any killing, you know. And I was afraid that, you know, that I would have to go, you know, and do something I didn't want to do.
So did you ask Bill to
And
get you out
so
of
was
there?
Bill, you know.
Did you just ask Bill to get you out of there?
I don't think I ever asked him really just like that. Bill asked me one day as we got into a truck to go do an errand, do you want to leave the ranch? And I said, yeah, and or he asked me in the morning, do you want to leave the ranch? And we waited for the opportunity because he knew he was going to be sent to do something with one of the trucks, and when he was, everyone wanted, so we just kept on going.
Okay, you were busting, right? What was it?
Yeah.
What?
He was a bust for anything. I said,
He got really crap, I think,
had used.
before.
So he didn't have any money to pay the bill. He didn't know anybody in Cleveland, neither did I. You know, otherwise he would have been staying where we were. The idea was to get $20 and, you know, just rent a place where we could get a job so we could go, you know, down to Florida. And he came to see me about 10 minutes before I was transferred. And he came under the name that we had used on the credit cards, and actually they knew it was someone I had been with. And that's the last I saw him when I was in a little room. The detective brought him in and said, I want you to identify this man. But first, you know, it was played really dumb, but it obviously wasn't working. So they come in and got me. So he said,
How long ago?
we know who this is. You know, you might go.
How long ago? How long ago?
It was late August last year. But the last I saw him, see, because I was taken out to the women's correctional home, and my mom came and got a written judge and released me. I was released from her custody, and I went directly out of the courtroom into the car in 2 Michigan.
You know, that's just about all that she said originally. I think that Bruce said. He described to you what had happened, and then he told you that he held the gun. That was in addition to what everyone else had said. Do you want anything in particular? Well, I was just wondering, can you tell us who was the first one that, without telling the conversation, who was the first of the participants in the crime?
This is where he got really bad before. So you can barely hear her.
And this was the date of the conversation with Bruce and with that event. Connection with the restricted event. 1 day or 2 days or a month. In other words, you know Bruce Davis West was the next trouble. Right. And they returned sometime, and sometime after that, they returned to the pretty changes what to do. Talk to you there. Great.
Before they left, you know, they were getting dressed, and I wasn't with them all while they were getting dressed, but before they left the ranch, I knew that those two were going to go. They both not comfortable. They were just he was really excited.
Sadie told you before that she was going to go to the Hinman house.
He told me that she was going to go, and I, so I'm glad that she was going to
When he officially decided to go out there.
Yeah, this is where it got bad. We can hear a bit of what she's saying now. She was saying we were getting dressed.
Then did she go up into what she did when she got up to the house after she came back?
Yeah.
When she came back, what was she driving, or what car was she in? And this is Hinman's Volkswagen bus. And at this time, she tells you, in conjunction with Mary, of what happened up at the Hinman house. What did she say? Something that happened.
Yeah, it still isn't great, but you couldn't hear any of her.
I want to try briefly. They both came inside the bathroom house, really things. So when I talked about letting about how they had taken care of Gary and Charlie because she found that finding space that guy was serious.
Did Sadie tell you who killed Mr. Hinman?
Both of them, at different times. Sometimes people take care of it. About it. After Gary had quieted down and
Did she ever tell you, by the way, Sadie or Mary, about the words that they used or their father used when he killed him?
I think it's something about
Now, without putting words into your mouth, does anything like this sound familiar to you? I'm your brother. You deserve to die.
yeah, but that was, like, a lot.
Did you ever have anybody use those words or words something?
Yeah, I'm sure I did, but I don't have to just say it because I'm responsible about what happened.
Okay, let's go on now to Mary from. Go ahead. You say that Sadie told you that somehow Hinman down his son. And fired gun strike members. Okay, they told you she told you that. Now, if you remember what.
Just pause for a minute to discuss, because yeah, like I said, the audio isn't great. Sorry about how it looks on the screen as well. That's rubbish, I know, but yeah, it's just that's the only way I can get the audio to play. If I share the actual window, then the audio doesn't play for some reason. You're just seeing the equalizer, aren't you? Yeah, and I didn't get it uploaded in time to archive it all. I didn't realise I hadn't uploaded it. But yeah, I can hear it a bit better, and the part where it gets really bad, I can hear more of that. I heard a few sentences that you couldn't hear at all before. You hear her saying they were getting dressed at one point, and they were just saying, weren't they? She said, I heard her saying, yeah, I can remember, but I don't know who said it and stuff like that. You heard her say that, didn't you? I can hear certain phrases that she says. Better, yeah. And at the beginning, it's much better, obviously. But yeah, you couldn't hear any of what she was saying before, could you? So you should get something. Yeah, sorry about the fan. Of my laptop, if you can hear that. The mic should be cancelling it out. a little bit, hopefully. Yes, I'll start it up again. But yeah, she said, yeah, you heard quite clearly the bit near the beginning where she was saying that Bill Vance wasn't threatened by Charlie physically. It was just his mind, what he could do to his mind that he was scared of. Yeah, because Bill Vance is one of the people that took part in the murder of Shorty Shay as well. And I don't think he was ever convicted too. Loads of people that took part were never convicted of it. We'll carry on anyway.
His charge of struggling with whether the gun was perfectly required as a being pointed.
I think that Gary had managed to try to stop. Gary had tried to
Study of left by the house, or was it over there?
and I know it was where it was for.
Do you know whether or not Barry Burner told you that something was about number of shots being fired, or you remember that that's what you called them? You're going Mary. Did Mary make any statements before she went to the head of the house? Did Mary come back in a vehicle to the ranch? Okay. And when Mary comes back, she tells the same story that Sadie tells? Was there any contradictions between the two stories? When Mary left, how was Mary dressed? Would it be what you call creepy crawlers, or the dark clothing and all that? By the way, do you know what kind of a gun that you said they took out there? You would recognize the gun? I'm sorry, yesterday you called a sword or a dagger, you kept using the words interchangeably. Would you recognize that sword if you ever saw it again? Could you describe the sword to us? Figure that out. It's all about the total left connection. Some kind of handle. Was there anything specific you remember where you grabbed it?
Well, it had a grip on it, but I don't know if it had, where you took it.
Was there anything about where you grabbed it? When Mary came back, you and Mary laid the fingerprints down off of the Volkswagen bus. Bobby was away. Did you see him leave the ranch to go to his house? Did you see him just prior to it?
Yeah, I saw before.
Did Bobby tell you he was going to heaven? How was he dressed?
But when it was, to me, it wasn't like, it was fairly unusual about that.
How was he dressed? Dark clothing?
Yeah, nothing flat.
After Bobby came back, you had a conversation with Bobby. That's when you and Bill were living. Okay. And at this time, he runs down the same story to you that you originally got from Sadie and Mary and everyone else. And he told you at that
that Gary was quiet.
Bobby told you though that he stabbed Gary. And did he tell you whose directions it was under? Or did you just assume that?
I know Bobby said that,
Did you ever see a Fiat station wagon with the engine sticking up? Did you ever drive in the car? Did you ever drive in the car as a passenger? You said that you left a couple of days after the Hinman killing, is that right? Did you ever hear Charlie tell Lucy or Mary or Sadie to take the car down and get rid of it? You told me originally that you were going to drive the car.
Folks like must get me out of the town, because you're the streets down in the campus there.
Yeah.
We're going to drive to Santa Barbara, and Mary was pretty upset that trying to leave the gas plant all the fruit, so he said, the president, that president folks got,
Which you never heard of that.
I don't know about
Did you hear Charlie say get rid of the Volkswagen?
But I know the idea was to get money from himself.
Did you ever hear Charlie or Bruce talk about getting rid of the gun that was used at the house?
Because they're asking her here if she's heard about them getting rid of the Volkswagen they took of Gary Hinman and that, but so she can't have run before they murdered Gary Hinman. If she was around for them to be asking her, did you hear them talk about that? And she's saying no, basically, isn't she, by the sound of things? Yeah, you can hear little bits of what she's saying. I mean, the audio is still not great, but just for people that really, really want to try and hear it, I thought I would do this. And yeah, if you want to listen to this for research purposes and you want to try and transcribe it, or by the time this is up for playback, the link to the raw audio will be in the description, so you can listen to it yourself. So it'd be mildly better than listening to the playback of this stream if you're really, really trying to get to it, hear it clearly. But yeah, it is much better than just what is up on YouTube elsewhere. I've removed a lot of hiss from it and moved it over to another channel for the bit where you couldn't hear anything that she was saying before. But yeah, it's not too bad, is it, compared to what it was like? So I'm carrying it. Long
How about
song.
tonight? It's Bobby Youth. You ever know what happened? Right? Did you ever hear that?
No, I don't believe that. I believe that when you go to Sunday, it's not, that's how they do it.
Go ahead, church.
It's the, love the church.
As long as they wore it. How do you know those were the gloves that they wore into them? Bobby, did Bobby tell you? I mean, you told us yesterday that Charlie said to Gary Hinman, you might as well cooperate because you're going to die. In substance, that's what you're saying. And did you say something about no, we talked about $27 yesterday. Who said that they got $27?
Yeah, not get much of this bit at all.
Okay, you told us also that Charlie said that we got $27 and his cards. Okay. How's that? All right, good. So, regarding talking to Tom today, how did you say you feel today? Did he tell you through the heart? And at the time when he was talking to you, you don't know how you were in life. But I'm sorry. Did you ever notice him very nice on each other?
Yeah.
Did you ever pay any particular attention to any kind of science when you think you were even on it?
Yeah.
And what did you do with that?
We do it, girls used to do a lot of, yeah, Bobby used to clear out that night because
Can you describe the night to us about that? If you saw the night, you recognize it.
oh yeah.
Okay. Now, let's get to the conversation. So, the first person you talked to, as I understand, is what happened in the house. We're talking about the parking. Would have been probably very good. And etc. We're talking about Gary Hinman, close friend. You're just not in your head, I think. I'm trying to figure it out. All right. And you and the help Mary consciously treating them the outlaw check, the bunkhouse, but that's in the long run to what everything today. Right. And it's when they were very constant, Volkswagen, Michael guys, and whatever it was, that he was, you. So it's fair to say that Mary would have been the first one to talk to decided to get the
No, it's pretty cool first, but she had that struggle, driving it. But you cooked it out. So I later I tried the background stuff from Bill and I, went out and talked to Dave and Mary, and they both singing about getting the concert. So stuff and finally, the clothes that they were on. That's what I felt.
You, at that time, you talked to White Down, the microphone. You did that without losing the microphone. Right, then you would use the fingerprint choice. Now, shortly after that, the police come and take some field interrogation and work with various persons.
Shortly after that, I figured out Mary was gone, and I thought, well, she had been so upset I wouldn't have just seen them. So I was finished up, and when I went down to breakfast, they were all gone. So I talked to them on Twitter, and I went and someone answered that with
Now, when you became aware of the fact that the police arrived in Manson,
Yeah, just looking at the chat, it's in the chat. I think no, she wasn't there. I think they're asking her about what they told her when they got back from the Hinman thing. That's what they're asking her. Did he say that Manson said that to? Did Manson say he said that to him? And that's what they're asking her. And they're asking her about the gun, if she saw the gun, aren't they? They seem to be a bit. But yeah, no, she wasn't there. She refused to go. And she felt bad about it because she was the one who said he had money, as you'll find when I read the article after this. Right, so carrying on. Yeah, no, it's not great. I can't hear a lot, at all either, but this is better than what was up originally in it. You couldn't hear anything she said in the second part before. Yeah, it's not ideal. We've just got to work with what we've got in it. That's all we can do.
Everybody else
then you stay late for the dog again, in other words, to the early morning hours. And sometime after that day, later in the day, she then talked with Bruce and Bobby, both of them. So in other words, within a 24-hour period, you would have talked to Charlie Manson, Bruce Davis, Mary Bruner, and Susan Atkins. You also know, other Joe, just quick, that we are going to ask you as part of what Mr. Katz and Mr. Deutsch are saying. So we are going to expect you to testify for us as policemen in Mr. Hinman's case against Bruce Davis, against Sadie Atkins, and against Charlie Manson. You understand that? And you're willing to do that for the concessions that Mr. Deutschman and Mr. Katz make. Is that right? I don't know if you want to think about it. I know that's certain ones that are asking, but whatever doubt in your mind, Charles Manson. It was just such a
Sam said that's what they're asking her about the Volkswagen. Because she helped move it and clean it up from what they're saying here, I think. That's Gary Hinman's Volkswagen, by the way. In case people don't realize, they stole his Volkswagen.
Yeah, I don't know whether she had a key to it or not. From now on, all your dealings will be with Sergeant Hubert here on it. I'll keep in contact with him, and I'll be the one that will meet you at the airport. I'll send the money to Mr. Sergeant Hubert, put you on the airplane, and I'll meet you at the other end. Thank you. You have a place to stay here, but you've got a couple of times.
Oh, yeah, it's coming to the end now. Right, well, so that's the audio anyway. Yeah, like I say, it is still not great, but you could hear some more than you could before with the original audio. Yeah, and if I chopped it up into further parts and maybe tried to clean up the final bit where it gets really bad again and work just on that bit, I might be able to get it a bit clearer. But it's incredibly hard to hear her, isn't it? But there are some bits where you can actually hear what she's saying, which I find quite amazing, actually, considering what was there before. So yeah, I think that's actually quite good. Yeah. So we can consider what you've got to work with, sort of thing, basically, yeah. And there's an article I've got to read out that I read out on the other stream, but this is really interesting, yeah, because she eventually testified. Manson's second trial, which you don't hear much about, do you? His second trial. But yeah, we'll get to reading that in a minute. Yeah, it's just I just find it crazy that she doesn't get talked about more, considering she was there for so much. And also, like, I thought that the Mendocino thing, the girls were up at Mendocino while they were at Dennis Wilson's house. So how could she also have been one of the girls that was picked up? Unless they left. Yeah, so that's in Squeaky's book. You'll have to read Squeaky's book again. Maybe it was after they had arrived at Dennis Wilson's house they left for Mendocino. Yeah, but it's strange. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, but I say it's not great, but it's better than it was, isn't it? And yeah, I just wanted to improve on the last stream, and so yeah, because that actually got quite a lot of views. So hopefully the same amount of people will watch this one as well to try and hear the audio better. Who knows? So yeah. Yeah. Right. So I'll read the article out now because we're coming up for an hour, so that's quite good, isn't it? This is on the screen. Here's the picture of it. Los Angeles, August 13th. A prosecution witness testified yesterday that Charles Manson, walking up and down and brandishing a sword in a saloon at the Spahn Ranch, told his cult members how he slashed musician Gary Hinman across the face. Then, according to the testimony of Ella Jo Bailey, Manson said he left Robert Kenneth Beausoleil to finish up Hinman. Miss Bailey is a key prosecution witness in the second murder trial of Manson, 36, charged with the July 27, 1969 murder of Hinman and the alleged slaying the same year of stuntman Donald Shorty Shea, whose body has never been found. The prosecution contends that Beausoleil, who has already been convicted of Hinman's murder, killed the musician on Manson's orders after Hinman refused to give money to the cult. Miss Bailey said she was present when Manson made his remarks in the saloon of the movie ranch in Chatsworth on the morning of July 28, 1969. She claimed Manson said that after receiving a phone call at the ranch asking for help, he and Bruce Davis, who is also accused of the Shea Hinman murders, had gone to Hinman's house. Testimony in Bosley's earlier trial showed that Bosley had allowed Susan Atkins to hold Hinman at gunpoint and that Hinman had wrestled the gun from her. On Manson's order, Bosley, Miss Atkins, who has already pleaded guilty to Hinman's murder, and Mary Bruner, another Manson follower, were told by Manson to go to Hinman's Topanga Canyon home to get money from him. Testimony at Bosley's trial also showed that Bosley had telephoned Manson at the Spahn Ranch to tell him that Hinman was not cooperating, and that Manson and Bruce Davis went immediately to Hinman's home. Miss Bailey continued her story about Manson's remarks in the saloon by claiming he said that Miss Bruner, Miss Atkins, and Bosley had finally gotten the gun away from Hinman. He, Manson, said he had a heated argument with Hinman because it was necessary for him to quiet Gary down. He raised the sword and cut Gary Hinman from the left ear to the chin, Miss Bailey testified. Earlier testimony from a deputy coroner was that Hinman's face wound could have been fatal without medical treatment. However, the prosecution contends that Bosley stabbed Hinman to death. Miss Bailey said Manson told his family members that after he had slashed Hinman, the musician asked for prayer beads. She said Manson concluded his narrative by saying that he had left Bobby to finish up, and they had gained 2 vehicles and $27 by going to the Hinman home. Miss Bailey said that later in the day, on July 28th, she left the Spahn Ranch and never returned. Earlier, Miss Bailey testified she was the one who suggested the cult get money from Hinman. She was called to the witness stand by Deputy District Attorney Anthony C. Manzella. Miss Bailey's testimony was slow because defense attorney Irving A. Kanarak objected to almost every question asked by Manzella. The young woman testified that in the summer of 1969, Manson mentioned several times to family members that they needed money for dune buggies to go to the desert. During one such discussion, Miss Bailey said Manson asked if anyone knew of someone with money for the buggies. I said I believed Gary Hinman owned his own house in Topanga Canyon, and I believed he had stocks and bonds, the witness said. Earlier, she explained that she met Hinman in 1968 when the Manson family, during its nomadic excursions, stayed in 3 separate locations in Topanga Canyon. Manzella asked her what Manson said when she suggested Hinman. He said Hinman was a possibility, she replied. On July 26, 1969, when the family was staying at the Spahn Ranch in Chatsworth, Miss Bailey said Manson approached her and told me he wanted me to accompany Bob Bosley to Gary Hinman's house. She claimed Manson instructed her to get Hinman to come with us, or to get the musician to sign over all his property to the family. Miss Bailey said Bill Vance, another family member, who was with her at the time, told Manson she had better things to do. She added Manson merely walked away. The prosecution claims that Hinman was slain when he refused to turn money over to the cult. Manson was not present in the courtroom during Miss Bailey's testimony. He earlier had told Superior Court Judge Raymond Choate that he could not restrain himself from making outbursts in the courtroom. Judge Choate banished Manson to an adjacent courtroom lockup where he could see but not participate in the proceedings. Miss Bailey, a slender blonde, was neatly dressed in a black and white dress. Right, yeah, so you see she talks about overhearing that conversation in the saloon bar where he walked around waving the sword and describing what he'd done. So that must be what they were asking her about in the police interview when they're asking her about did Manson say to Hinman that he was going to die? That he reenacted it in the saloon bar at the ranch back when he got back, yeah. Yeah, the bad mescaline was made up, or maybe the mescaline wasn't bad. They just took too much of it, or took it wrong, or whatever. And also, apparently, it was a scam at the time that lots of bikers were pulling, was to say the drugs were faulty and demand their money back. And these people were so violent, people couldn't really argue with them, sort of thing. Yeah. But yeah, in that article, that will be linked in the description below as well. There's quite a few things in there that sound like what they were asking her about in her police interview at the end there. Basically, yeah. She said that she overheard the conversation, so she can't have left while the murder was in progress, because they were there for 2 days, apparently, weren't they, before they finally killed him. So she must have left sometime after he was actually murdered. But before they went out and did Cielo Drive, apparently, yeah. Yeah. That's it, yeah. Bikers were just ripping people off, and Bobby and Manson fell for it, obviously, didn't they? Yeah. Yeah. No, the bar at the ranch, in the ranch, they called it the Helter Skelter, didn't they? That was what the ranch saloon was called, the old saloon. So it was a movie set, wasn't it? And they had a saloon bar at the ranch. And he walked up and down in that saloon bar and waved the sword around. But their own bar, not a public bar. Yeah. Hmm. Well, presumably, yeah. This is what I want to know, because you never hear about how he managed to not have them retaliate against him. I think they did pay off Crow and Rosina. They must have done, and also the Straight Satans for the mescaline as well. So they needed money to pay off Bernard Crow and Rosina, and yes, the oh, I just said it, didn't I? Sorry, got brain freeze. Yeah. Yeah, Krenwinkel named the Treefort Bar Helter Skelter, yeah. Because it's written on a door, isn't it? There's photos of the door. They showed it in court. Helter Skelter was written on the door of the bar. Yeah. Splendor Blonde. Yeah, that's what they call her in the newspaper article. Yeah, Ella J. Bailey, I reckon, yeah. Slender Blonde. Let me check if that's uploaded yet on the internet. Okay. Yeah, so it is ready now. So yes, by the time this is on playback, I'll make sure that that's there. The link is there, so if you do want to just listen to the audio and try and decipher it for yourself, you'll get the clearest version listening to it straight through your own speakers, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, that was better than the original one anyway, wasn't it? We've been going for an hour now. So we'll finish this soon. We'll get on with an after show. If people want to hang around for an after show, yeah. But yeah, there's not many people watching now. Yeah, it's not gone so well. 28 people watching. Last week there were more for the Ruth Ann Morehouse one. Yeah, I suppose everyone's got sick of hearing the Ella J. Bailey one because they tried to listen to the other one. And they're pissed off with it now. I think, yeah, that sounds slightly better though. And it's worth, airing it because, it's just strange that she doesn't get talked about more, isn't it? But I suppose because, she wasn't there for CLA Drive and she wasn't one that was, and she didn't testify at the TLB trial, it was at his second trial. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Towards the end, at the beginning, it was really clear. You could hear at the beginning a lot clearer, couldn't you? But towards the end, obviously, you could only hear there was fragmentary bits where you could hear little bits. But in the original, the point is you couldn't hear any of her. All you could hear was occasionally what the cop was saying. You couldn't hear anything she said at all, and you can hear little bits of it now, can't you? Yeah. I'm staring at the chat. Yeah, the make believe saloon. The saloon at the Spahn Ranch, not a public bar, yeah. But yeah, he walked up and down waving it about and told them what he'd done. Which was a bit foolish, wasn't it? Yeah, I told everyone in the bar what he'd done. But yeah. We know all the people at the saloon, there's loads of people, isn't it? But however many of them were there that night, because they had various bike gangs hanging around there, didn't they? And all the girls and yeah. Yeah, I can believe it. And like I say, it shows that he didn't really have them that far under his control. If some of them were running away and leaving, before even after it got violent as well, and they still managed to get away. Sounds like Bill Vance helped her to leave. She left with him and didn't announce she was going, and then just never came back, got away. But Bill helped her to get away by the sound of things. And when she was told to go to him, and she said Bill stuck up for her. Said no, she's got better things to do, and Charlie just walked away. She didn't have to go. And yeah, they said he had to be removed from the courtroom as well while she was testifying because he'd started shouting at her, basically. He couldn't stop himself from shouting at her. Because she was one of his early girls, yeah. What do you mean who corroborated her story? Everything corroborates her story, doesn't it? Basically, yeah. That's it. Everyone's statements did. Basically. And she was, yeah, well, like I say, she was with them the longest. She was Susan's roommate, and originally she joined with Susan Atkins, and she was one of the original Manson girls. And she was at Mendocino. She was at Dennis Wilson's house. She was with them everywhere. Never wrote a book. Never saw her getting interviewed anywhere, I don't think, did you really? Yeah. Not a lot, yeah. I think I did find a photo of her later in life, so Manson blog did find a photo of her, yeah. Which is dead now, unfortunately, yeah. She died in 2015, I think it said, didn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Right, yeah, this is over an hour long now. So I'm going to finish this now, and I'll do an after show. You give me 5 minutes, anyone's interested. Coming back to that, and yeah, thanks for coming. Yeah, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And yeah, I don't know what I'm going to be doing next week yet, but there'll be a show next week. Thanks for coming.